Welcome to our video about the history of cigarette production. Because cigarettes have been manufactured for centuries, many changes have been made to the process. We'll examine the history of cigarette production in this video, as well as how technological advancements have affected the method. Hand-rolled cigarettes. When cigarettes were first created, paper was rolled around loose tobacco by hand. Since it took so long and required so much work, this approach made cigarettes pricey and a luxury good. Today, many small-scale producers and tobacco artists still make hand-rolled cigarettes, but the Cuban cigar, which is made entirely by hand, is one example of a well-known hand-rolled cigarette. Cigarette-making machines. The first cigarette-making machines were created in the late 1800s. With the ability to roll hundreds of cigarettes every minute, cigarettes became substantially more affordable and accessible. Cigarette-making equipment is used in the mass production of cigarettes by significant tobacco corporations like Philip Morris, British American Tobacco, and Japan Tobacco International. Filtered cigarettes were first introduced in the 1930s. To help smokers inhale less tar and nicotine, filters were created. This was thought to be a way to make cigarettes healthier and safer. Popular brands that provide filtered cigarettes include Marlboro, Camel, and Winston. Flavored cigarettes. Cigarette manufacturers started flavoring their products in the 1950s. Younger smokers were targeted with flavors like menthol, cherry, and vanilla that were fashionable at the time. One of the most well-liked flavors of cigarettes is menthol, which is made by companies like Newport and Kool. Another type of flavored cigarette is clove cigarettes, usually referred to as Kretex, which are made by companies like Jarum and Sampoerna. Light cigarettes were first launched in the 1970s. These cigarettes were promoted as a healthier alternative since they had less nicotine and tar than standard cigarettes. Many large tobacco businesses, such as Philip Morris, Marlboro Lights, British American Tobacco, Lucky Strike Lights, and Japan Tobacco International, produce light cigarettes, Mevius lights. Electronic cigarettes were created in the early 2000s. These devices evaporate liquid containing nicotine and other substances using a battery-powered heating element. The marketing of e-cigarettes positions them as a safer substitute for conventional cigarettes. The most well-known e-cigarette manufacturers include Juul, Blue, and Vuse. Heat-not-burn cigarettes. Heat-not-burn cigarettes were first released in the 2010s. These cigarettes produce a mist that the smoker inhales by heating the tobacco rather than burning it. Heat-not-burn cigarettes have been promoted as a safer substitute for traditional cigarettes, similar to how e-cigarettes have been. The most well-known heat-not-burn cigarette brands are Plum by Japan Tobacco International, Glow by British American Tobacco, and IQOS by Philip Morris. As you can see, the process for making cigarettes has changed dramatically throughout time. Technology has significantly contributed to making cigarettes more accessible and purportedly healthier, from hand-rolled cigarettes to high-tech electronic and heat-not-burn cigarettes. Yet, smoking still poses a serious health risk, so it's important to be aware of the risks associated with tobacco use. I appreciate your attention.